Hey, Jason Scott, 2D/3D animator and very quickly becoming technical director. Okay, so today I am back and I want to show you guys my tail setup and my facial setup. I think I've come up with a pretty intuitive tail system as well as a really nifty little way to animate facial on more 2D cartoony characters. So let me go ahead and first show off it globally scales. This is very important to note because there's going to be a lot of bendy, dynamic, weird deformers all doing things, and they all need to play nice with everything else. So they need to be able to scale globally. So if you look, you'll notice there's no scale option in here. There's only a global scale. But sometimes just using this can be a little annoying. You know? So what I'd like to be able to do is grab this actual scale handle and scale the character up and down. But notice that it affects the global scale. So it's actually the global scale, but we can use the scale handle, which is a pretty cool little trick. So the first thing I want to show is the align concept. So right now, notice that that line is following the hips, okay? So if I go to the tail and I turn tail align on, then it's going to maintain its own orientation. Okay, you'll see that it is no longer keeping the orientation of the hips. And you can see this pretty clearly when I go here and you see the difference. See how it's popping? That's its own orientation, following or not following. So we'll turn that off so that it mainly follows, which is what we want. And we'll jump right into the tail rig. Okay, so basically what this is called a 5-layer tail system. And it basically is every way that I used to rig tails thrown into one. So when I first started rigging tails, the way that I would approach a tail or a bang hanging down or any kind of long thing like this was I would have it straight out and I would have the ability to animate the base like this, okay? So for basic posing and where to put the overall shape of it. And then I would have set-driven keys which drive like curl, side-to-side curl, and twist. And I also added in a stretch attribute, okay? Because sometimes I want to kind of deform that in sort of a stretch for the sake of posing. Now, this really can give you quite a bit, but it doesn't give you everything. So what I can do is I can go to FK. And the beauty of this is I can still use all these set-driven keys and the FK controls will follow. But I can offset and create some really nice follow through. And as you can see, you're going to get really nice whipping. Okay, so it's whipping like that. But it gets even better. In addition to that, there's 2 levels. Here's level 3. If I go to bendy, notice that the bendies are all oriented with the FK controls. I can actually, if I go into object mode, start to shape a broken hierarchy based bend, okay? And right now the deformations are a little bit blocky, and the reason for that is because the model is a low poly model. But if we go from low to mid, notice that smooths it out quite a bit, and then we can even go to high, but then it starts to lag the rig a little bit. But you can see how that's a lot smoother. So when we render, we would just do that. Anyway, let's go back to low. And again, you know, this is pretty cool. So let's say that we get kind of a kink in the tail. Okay. So what we will do is we'll make that a little bit sharper. Alright. And now, when we go here and we say, now I want to work with everything, I can go to all. Notice that when we drive our FK now, that kink will actually animate, okay? Because the bendy system, as I said, follows the FK system. It also follows the set-driven key system. Okay? So you can get quite a bit of, you know, fun stuff with that. So let's go ahead and turn polygons off so we just have our NURBS curves. Select everything and zero it out. And then go here and zero that out, and we are returned to Happy Land. Let's go back to polygons, and we're good to go. Now, that is a 3-layer system, I believe. Okay, but here comes layer 4. we have the option to turn on a dynamic tail, which is pretty standard, okay? I've added in dynamics before, but I did not have this. This is called a dynamic blend. For now, we'll turn this to 0 and see what happens, okay? So basically, in dynamic mode, if I select this right here, and I move this up, notice that we're getting dynamic independent motion, okay? However, if I were to pose using a kind of a amalgamation of the system, so I've now used a set-driven key and the FK and the bendy, okay, and maybe even gone a little bit crazier with it, okay, and then go here, look where the dynamics start from. Notice that they start from that new position. It automatically sets your rest position to follow exactly where you want to be. That's pretty awesome. Alright? Now, another cool thing I can do about this is I can set this to dynamic, and then I can go to dynamic blend, and I can actually blend between dynamics and FK. So what happens if we go half and half? Well, look what happens now. Okay, let's say I go here and I want to work in FK, or even better, let's work with 2 of them and curl this, right? So let's go into, I believe this is playback. Yeah, it's a special playback mode which lets you affect dynamics. Notice the dynamic curve is being affected. The simulation is being affected. So that's pretty cool. In addition to that, what we're actually doing is affecting the input curve that the dynamic takes its rest position from. So there's another thing I can do called curve attract. And if I put that to 0.003, look what happens now. The dynamics are now being affected even more, because we're now, you see how we're, even though we're in dynamic mode, we're still affecting that tail there. And now our performance will be over here as opposed to where it was over here. So we can use dynamic mode and have all three other systems affect the dynamics. And we can go all the way to a blend between them. So when we're done with dynamics, we can literally use dynamic blend to slowly return ourselves back. And if we wanted to turn this to 0, keep dynamic blend off, what we could do is have no effect on this, and then we could just reorient this back into place. And I mean, this is just kind of really rough. I mean, you could get the idea. You would just reposition this so that it's similar position, and of course you could snap things to bones and everything and get exact. But look what happens now when I blend. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a jump, but not much. See, not much. And now we're back in full mode. There's no more dynamics, and we can return into full FK mode. So we can go from dynamics to FK to bendy to pretty much whatever we want. You say, wow, that is pretty much anything you want to do with the tail, Jason, and you're wrong. It's not. I set this system up and I was like, this is a pretty awesome system. However, it's not quite perfect. I was going to call this done, and I went to look at other people's rigs, and I noticed an interesting dilemma. Now, for this character, it's not super important, but I wanted a tail rig that could do pretty much anything I wanted it to. And this system, while it is really cool, all of the rotation comes out from here, and all the FK starts here and kind of goes up the chain like this. Well, what if you wanted to create a tail for a monkey? Well, monkeys need to be able to hang off of branches and bars. So, we have a bar here. This is a pretty nifty little trick. Right now, we're following the root. I can say follow the tail, and I can turn this and this to COG control. Okay, so what that basically means now is that this will drive everything. Okay, but right now it pivots here. And what we want to be able to do is hang from here. And we really can't animate that now because when we move this, these all move. So what we can do is show our locators. Alright, we can grab this here and notice that we can pivot around the bar. That's pretty awesome. So we can do like tail gymnastics. However, once again, we still can't use this for animation because it's going to go right through it. So what can we do? Well, we can turn on inverse FK system. And what this basically is this is layer 5. All right. If we grab all this stuff, right, and we grab all this, and then we say monkey FK override. Boom. Now look what happens. Ooh. Right? Look at this. This is pretty awesome. So, let's say now our objective is to wrap around this object. Alright? We want to create a monkey effect where she's hanging from this bar. So here's what we do. And it takes a little bit of getting. You know, it takes a little bit of tweaking, but I mean, you're not able to do this at all with the other system. So, yeah, it takes a little bit of time to pose out, but I mean, the fact that this system allows you to get this behavior is really nice. So, you know, I don't want to complain too much about it. And again, you still have the bendy options. So, you know, that's pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and wrap that there. And we will stick this here. And we'll move that in here. And see how now, I mean, again, and this is a lion character. She really doesn't need this monkey ability. But look at this. You know? She's able to now hang like a monkey from the bar, and you know, maybe she's like a Mission Impossible character, kind of, you know, going down to get whatever it is she's trying to get, and she's just kind of coming from her tail, right? And the cool thing about this now is she's hanging. We can go back to this bar swing control, and because this is here, now look. She can now rotate and hang from her tail, which is something that's just not doable with our standard tail rig. But notice with the same tail rig, and really with minimal setup to create such a really dynamic effect, you know, we can do this very quickly. So let's go to polygons, and let's select all this stuff and zero it out, and we're back in position. So let's go ahead and show our polygons, okay? And to turn this off, all we have to do is grab all of these. Oh, and by the way, each of these can be turned off. So I can turn off this and only have this working. And now, notice that it doesn't follow. And what this allows me to do now is, now up and down curl will still have some effect. Okay, because what we're basically doing is we're taking over and slaving the constraint of options and the orientation and position of all of these. And you can choose what level you want. And this allows you to choose where the tail pivots, what the tail pivots at, and it's a pretty awesome system. So let's go ahead and zero that out. Now, it's still not done yet. You might think it's done, but it's still not done yet. So let's go ahead and undo this, okay? And we'll turn all of these to 0, and we'll test that by going to up and down curl, and it works. And we're back into standard FK mode. So in case you're not aware of what I just did there, this curling from here and out is the way this behaves. To create an effect where this tail in the same rig now goes opposite and works from here as a root and goes that way, creates a cycle. I had to rig a solution for that, and this is what my solution was. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and turn off inverse FK, and we have one more system for us. So what is that, you ask? Well, let's go from here, and let's switch this from COG. Let's go to tail follow. Alright, so let's turn tail follow on. Now what does that do? Well, let's find out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stretch. Alright? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to select all of these, and we're going to create kind of a hula effect here. And what this is for is, the only other thing I could think a tail could really do is you can grab it. So maybe she wants to take her tail and you know, kind of do this kind of a thing. So let's just kind of go up there, maybe up there. Okay. Anyway, point being, so now look what happens. The tail is actually following. It's pretty awesome, right? Now, if I turn this off, I don't have to use that, but it's pretty nice to be able to have that do it. Now I can go here, position this, and I can actually grab this controller and just this one. Alright, and the tail will follow and stop at that point. But I have ability to automate that so that it goes all the way down to the chain at the end here, which is, again, pretty nice. So let's go ahead and select all these. And zero it out. And that is the tail rig.